Ahoy. So this is a very weird video to do, but I've noticed the recent events that have been going on in DS and what have been happening with Valindra, and I've also spent months upon months questioning everyone who used to be involved with the development and the growth of the group Divine Sister. And now I know this can be very suspicious because I'm using a voice changer, and I'm not going to be presenting any DMs or screenshots because, well, I don't want to get sued. Valindra has claimed to have a lawyer or an advocate or someone like that, and I'm not trying to get sued, and I'm not trying to get anyone else involved sued. So I am just gonna avoid that pile of doo-doo, and I'm just gonna carry on. Now, as an introduction, I am one of Ara's friends. Irashia is... I still don't know how to say her name, but anyway, let's carry on. Now, this video is not your usual expose. I am simply going to talk about the chain of events to the best of my knowledge provided by Ira and her ex Krum or Callum, and a bunch of other former and current DSHRs. A lot of people I already know are gonna claim bull on this video because, well, they are Valindra's fans and they expect the best of him and they expect him to not be, like I'm about to tell the story, but I swear like my hand on the goddamn Bible, this is the actual truth. And it's not really a dissing of Val per se, it's more so just explaining both sides. I have not spoken to Val because obviously I can't reach out to him just like that. His DMs are on private. You can't really get him to add you unless you work for him or you're trying to get hired. And obviously, if I pretended to want to get hired, he would, notice that the questions I'm asking are weird and just fire me right away or just block me. So that was not an option. I had to go through multiple layers of people to access this information, and all the numbers that I'm about to present in this video are simply math, and I've used plugins and weeks upon months of just keeping track of the numbers and the players just to calculate all of this. So let's begin. My first topic is going to be about Arashio and Krum and how they are related to Val's current success. So this all started back in 2019 when Ira and, well, Krum were dating and Ira discovered Gaymoria. Gaymoria was Divine Sisters or the Sisters Order as they were known back then, current game that was gaining popularity, and, well, she played it, she enjoyed it, she got hired even as staff, and then realized that they're trying to make a new game, so she contacted Val to get hired, and she did, and she also brought aboard Krum. I'm just gonna keep calling him Krum, or, well, he was also known as Fading at the time, so let's just go with Krum and let's just go with Ira for the builder at the time. So what happened is that there was a team of 4 people working on the new game that is now known as the Isle, the Bright Isle. Before Ira and Krum came along, the project was pretty much abandoned because they did not have a viable scripter. Now, Krum was that viable scripter that Era brought aboard, and at this point, you can kind of see where I'm going with this because, okay, let's just carry on. So what they did was that Ira and Chrome helped resurrect the project. They helped build the entire map and code the entire game. And that game is what boot-started Valindra's current success, which means that Ira and Krum are the ones who are supposed to be reveling in the success that Valindra is reveling in right now. And what's really irking about this situation is because once they completed the game, Valindra at first didn't even want to assign them any revenue, but eventually he did. He assigned Ira 10% and he assigned Krum 30%. Now that accumulated them about 250k every 3 weeks at the time, and that was it. Now there was a fourth person that I haven't mentioned yet on the dev team, and that was Eve the Millionth, or currently known as Evalia. But I promised not to get her involved since Ira asked not to implicate her, but I will briefly go over her employment too. Now, Eve is tied to this because her and Val used to be tight, like very tight, very good friends. They were friends before Ira and Crumb came along, and she tried to start the new project with Val, but it didn't take off, and then Ira and Crumb came along. So, what Eve did was that she mainly volunteered at her work. She did GFX, she helped build, and all that. Now, the initial state of the isle was Ira made the entire map besides the actual main asylum building. And then Eve helped finish the main asylum building. Now, what you need to know about this is that Val did almost nothing. Val has no developer skills. All he does is copy paste what has been done already or slightly alter it. That will be relevant in a bit. And now, it was that the game became popular very fast, and the group started growing very fast. And now, Eve was still working without no payment, while Ira and Crown were taking up 40% of the group revenue, and Valindra, who was doing almost nothing besides, trying to be the shiny diamond in the light, made 60% of the revenue. Which means, with 40%, just let me get my calculator out right now. I don't know why I didn't do this before. But if 250,000 is 40%, then 100% is the unknown factor. Now, to get the 100%, we need to do 250,000 times 100 and divide it by 40%. And Valindra made about 625,000 for doing nothing, absolutely nothing. All he did was be the face of the community and present some ideas and hire some people, and that's it. That's it. And then fast forward to where things started to fall apart. Now, Ira and Crumb, they were dating. They were a couple. They were pretty good until shit happened. They broke up. It happens. And right before they broke up, Ira started a project on her own to rebuild the entire big asylum building from scratch to avoid FPS lag in the game. Now, this was something she started, and she was doing because she was getting percent payment. Now, midway through the rebuild, they broke up. Her and Krim, they broke up. And this devastated her and demotivated her from building, and Valindra, he was already on board with the idea, as he always is. He takes other people's ideas and makes them his own with slight adjustments. This will also be relevant later. And once he noticed that she was working slower, what he did, instead of asking her if everything's okay, because he knew that Krom and Ira broke up, he took the project from her and took her revenue, and this also devastated her even more. He literally stole it from her studio workplace and had Eve finish it and then paid Eve like a measly 30 grand. And we all know already how much he actually makes with the entirety of his group revenue. So obviously this pissed a lot of people off. And then when the new scripter came along, because Crumb actually quit at some point, he quit. And then when the new scripter came along, Val took Eve's and Ira's permissions to edit the game and restricted both of the revenue. And the only person who continued to have permissions in the studio was the new scripter. And that triggered a chain of events that led to Eve and Ira getting fired. Eve and Ira made a group chat of former HRs, like HRs at the time, and explained to them what was going on because they knew they might get fired soon enough. And that's exactly what happened, what ended up happening, because one of the HRs twisted Ira's words. Ira was the only one talking. She was always the one to take the lead. And that got her fired. Then everyone became mad, just livid, and it triggered the whole situation. And then Eve also said something about Val that wasn't the most positive thing to say, and then she also got fired. And they go off, they do their own thing. Now skip forward a few months later when things calm down, and Val rehires Ira to work on Less Beyond. Ira makes a few houses. Valindra pays him the price she asks, and all is good until he offers her 10% of the revenue and a position as a permanent builder as long as she quit on all of her other employers. Now what she did is that she already DMs and hints that she is going to quit, and the employers at the time take that into consideration and know that she's gonna quit. And then Val just says, "Oh, never mind, I reconsidered, the offer is not on the table anymore." Now what this looks like is that he just tried to screw her over, and that is not acceptable at all. Not acceptable at all. And now let's just skip forward to what's happening right now. Right now what's happening is that first of all, he disrespected a whole religion by saying how hijabs are restrictive. He's not Islamic. He doesn't practice that religion actively. He had no point, he had no right to talk up about the usage of hijabs on Islamic or, women. He had no right at all, and that was extremely disrespectful. And this isn't even the first time he appropriates, disrespects, or disregards a whole culture or religion. Now let's jump forward to Less Beyond as it is right now. You may have noticed there are ranks like a geisha instead of keisha like it's supposed to be. Now that's because he is appropriating the Japanese culture or the Asian culture for revenue, and this is disgusting if you ask me. He is just vile at the moment. He's on a streak of being vile. And to top it all off, he recently promoted a GoFundMe where it turned out to be a scam. It turned out to be a complete scam. Now, here is why I think Valindra does not deserve the group or the clout or the money that he is getting. First of all, that GoFundMe situation that I just mentioned a second ago. He was dumb enough to promote a GoFundMe that had no news coverage, that had no confirmations with local authorities, and that, he had no idea if it's legit or not. Another point about that GoFundMe is that the update message about the GoFundMe has the same exact typing pattern as Valindra himself. And I've also researched him a little bit, and turns out he claimed it was someone he knew maybe, or someone he knows, but there is no one no one that he knows with that name. No one. And now, if we put the two and two together, how it looks like a scam, and how there is no one with that name that he knows, even though he claimed that it's, someone he knows, then, you can figure out that maybe he made that GoFundMe, regardless of the fact that he makes 10,000 US dollars a month off of appropriating different cultures and stealing game ideas from other creators. Now, I've done some math, I've looked at some numbers, and I've come up with the approximate of how much he is making right now. That, let me remind you, he owes to Eve, Ira, and Crumb. He owes it all to Eve, Ira, and Crumb. And now keep this in mind, he has no dev skills. I'm pretty sure the only thing he did for Less Beyond was the terrain and just placing the assets that other builders made for him on the map. That is all he did. He doesn't code, he doesn't build, he just assembles and edits. And his current revenue that he cashed out was, or is, somewhere between, I'd say, according to what I've calculated, between 3.2 million up to 4 million Robux. Now that's just his share of it. And if we calculate that pretty fast, I will do that at the end of the video. Keep that in mind. If we calculate that later, you will see how much USD that actually is for doing nothing and firing the people that helped you get it. And the group itself makes revenue between 4.5 up to 5.5 million. Now, how I got these numbers, I had plugins and I used common sense because I've been working with a bunch of game developers and I've looked around Roblox enough to know how this functions. So, a lot of people assume, oh, he doesn't make that much, so, it's okay for him to do this. No, he makes millions upon millions of Robux and he does absolutely nothing. He's not even active in his own community. He pushes all the tasks upon his HRs, and that is completely unacceptable. I have never seen in my 7 years of working with group owners that any owners would do that. And if they do, they pay their HRs, which is not a case in Valindra's position. He has not paid his HRs for the job that they're doing, as far as I am aware. Oh, and he never really paid Eve either. Let's just put that out there. Okay, so now to quickly calculate how much USD he makes about a month with the approximates that I have just presented. Give me just a second. Okay, I calculated it. It's about $15,000 for the entire group revenue, about for a month. And that's doing absolutely nothing. And finally, an idea that I forgot to present before, well, not an idea, but a fact. He tried to apply for the, what was it called? Oh yeah, the accelerator program for Roblox, and then he got rejected. And then he acted very unprofessional on Twitter about it because he was butthurt that someone finally had the bravery to stand up to him. So there's also that. He was applying for a legitimate profession and expected that he was entitled to get in, and this is what his current success has done to him. He used to not be so entitled. He used to not be this leechy, but here we have that. I have two more things to actually add on that I've now remembered. Another thing is his current builder. Just to not implicate myself in any criminal activity, for legal reasons that is a joke. But he paid the current builder 1.5% of the current revenue for building for Less Beyond. 1.5% of the revenue to the person who made your game look good is unacceptable. It's disrespectful towards the builder themselves and very non-inclusive. And my final point to finish this video off of is that as his fans or anyone who's really been keeping up may have noticed that Val has gotten his games terminated or locked multiple times, and every single time that he does that, he has broken actual guidelines and the defense that he uses. I'll give you 5 seconds to guess what defense he used every single time instead of just taking the L, accepting his defeat and admitting that he broke the terms. Guess what he used? He used the homophobic card. Now, what the homophobic card is that, he claimed that Roblox took their games down, he claimed that Roblox took their group down because they were an LGBTQ community, and we all know Roblox is not homophobic. They support the LGBTQ community, however, they do not condone and support behavior that breaks the Roblox terms. And this is why Valindra should not be in charge of the community that he is in charge of right now, and this is why he doesn't deserve the money or success or the clout that he is getting right now. He is abusing his group, he is abusing his position, and he is blatantly abusing his fans, exploiting, extorting, appropriating, and honestly, almost all the horrible things on the horrible things to do scale. So, with that, I'd like to conclude my video by saying, please do not attack Chrome, please do not attack Aya, please do not attack anyone I mentioned. They are not at the fault of this. And, at the end of the day, it is what it is, but I thought I'd let people know who exactly, as a person, they are supporting. Thank you for, listening. I know this video is pretty long, but I'll leave you with your day now. Goodbye. I will never speak up again, man. Never.